Hey kids, you're about to listen to a comedy podcast. That means that none of this is medical advice. If you need medical advice or medical care, please contact your doctor.
Welcome to the Jock podcast featuring Dr. London Smith. The podcast whose TikTok page still has an account warning on it, for reasons I'd rather not get into right now. Introducing your host, the man they all want to deplatform, Dr. London Smith.
Hello, and welcome to the Jock podcast, where we discuss fitness and health, and how to incorporate our modern understanding of science and medicine into our daily lives, but without it being so boring. I'm your host, drlondonsmith.com. I would like to begin by apologizing to our listeners. We've received some feedback about the excessive amount of technical medical terms that I've been using, such as iatrogenic and pumpkin spice, so I'll try to temper my terminology to a simpler one in the future. Here to help with that is our producer, Cameron.
Dr. London, I really hate to do this on the show, but you have been sort of ignoring my emails lately about our social media app.
Well, okay.
Which you're the admin of, Dr. London. You insisted that you be the admin of the social media app, and some of the new rules that you implemented on the site, a lot of the users are really unhappy with.
Well, what specifically are they upset about? Because I don't have time to read all the feedback.
You don't have to read all the feedback, but I mean, you could read one. Have you ever read one?
No, I don't. I have trouble opening the app.
Oh, you can't even use the app, so you don't really even know what it's like. Yeah, that does make sense.
I've been sending out emails, though, if that helps.
Yeah.
Like, I'm complaining to everyone who sends feedback to me. I don't really read it, but I do reply, like, angrily.
Yeah, like that about the app, like, oh, the app sucks, or just angry that you received an email, like...
Just more the latter, yeah.
You're going to email me at this hour of the night? Who is this?
Yeah, it's like 9, almost 10 p.m. sometimes.
Yeah.
And they're emailing me? Because it's hooked up to so many alarms.
And it just, they go off so aggressively, and you don't know how to turn them off.
Well, I do, but, like, you have to go and change the set. It's too much. It's a bother.
Well, okay, well, a lot of the users, I mean, they just don't like the rules that you've implemented ever since you got deplatformed, right? You've had a huge amount of people on your site.
Yeah.
Like people who are like, hey, Dr. London shouldn't have gotten banned for what he posted on Twitter. And we don't have to say what it is, and you know. We know, I think we all know. If you're listening to the show, you know what it is.
Yeah. And it's, I'm going to say, like, I didn't mean it in a bad way. Can I say that?
Yeah, no, you truly believed it. That's the thing, is like people saw it as sort of an ironic, detached, sarcastic thing. No,
I meant it literally.
Yeah.
As literally as possible.
I do want to say that the cat did not die until hours later.
Oh,
I would say 5-6 hours.
And like the cat was like, you guys didn't meet. It was like pretty rude in person.
Oh my gosh, so rude. Even
handshake,
ruder than Grumpy Cat, the rudest cat of all time.
Yeah. So like, yeah, and people I feel like we are going to get some feedback about this as well. But like the cat, like I said, the cat was rude. I kept asking it to pass the plate at dinner. Wouldn't pass it. Wouldn't.
Oh wow.
Just push stuff over.
Oh no.
I know.
What a rude guest.
Yeah, so that's how.
And I say guest because I think that cat is the guest next week on the podcast. I just want to let you know, just if you wanted to like squash that beef before he comes on.
That seems like that's what the podcast is going to be about, honestly. Like that's
Dr. London, people, they trusted you. They were like, this is a person who understands that you can't just ban people for saying this kind of stuff or showing this kind of stuff or putting in this kind of code. And then you started a site and you've created a lot of rules, a lot of reasons for people to get banned. And so people are a little confused.
Okay, well, like I said, I don't see why that's such a huge problem. So you're banned.
Well, it's a problem because over 75% of the users have been banned because they weren't able to follow your rules.
Yeah. Okay. Well, at least a third of those, it was just because they sent emails, like the feedback. That was one big issue.
Oh, the feedback email automatically bans their account on the site.
No, I'll say I go through it and I ban individually, but yes, a lot.
Oh, okay. It's not automated. You do it every day.
Yeah. Can't figure out the app, but the email part, I can send I can send a thing. So so a third of those are banned. for that reason. Another.
Well, I mean, like some of these rules, Dr. London, you said pineapples aren't a fruit. If you even imply that they are, you're banned.
Yeah.
I don't understand, but why? Like, why can't even someone imply that? And you consider things like one person just said pineapple isn't even that good, and you said that implies it was a fruit, and you banned them.
That's right. That was a question of they're applying morality to this thing, and if you give it that much identity, you're moving it into. So I don't believe that pineapples exist at all. I guess is part of the issue.
Oh, okay. I guess the way the rule is worded specifically, pineapple is not a fruit. I didn't pick up on that.
Yeah. So I'm still working on the rules. Like there are a lot more actually to come. But yeah, it's pineapple
and
is also not.
I would edit them right now, but you won't give me access to the.
No, I don't. Well, you might lose the password like I did.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it's pineapple's not a fruit. It's also not a dog. It's also not.
Gotcha. It's not
a chariot.
Car. Yeah.
So I haven't finished the list of, it's a bit of a 20 question situation.
Sure.
And so I got to do that for every object every non-existent thing in the world.
And so just pineapples are the kind of the tipping point where you're like, no more.
Yeah, well, it's the first, it's the first red flag. So, so I'll admit we lost a few users from that.
Yeah, you said users cannot have a driver's license. Drivers are too insane. They're so fast.
Have you seen them? That's self-explanatory.
Sure, but I feel like that's more of a blanket statement, Dr. Lennon. You can't just look at one person driving fast and say, I mean, Dr. Lennon, I hate to say this, but I have a driver's license.
Okay, well, if you're wondering why you can't use the app.
I drove here today to the studio.
You're wondering why you can't get on the app or whatever.
Oh, okay. So you don't mind personally that I drive a car. It's just you don't want me using the app.
No, it's the license.
Oh, the driving's not the issue.
No, if you have the capacity to drive, that's a problem. But no, they take your fingerprints for the licenses now.
Oh, wow. And by now...
They literally do that.
You mean for the last 100 years?
They really recently, yes, started doing that. Yeah. Similar to the time when they built cars for the first time, they also started to require a print. So it's just a basic health and safety issue. And yes, because they drive too fast as well. So
is it a danger thing, or is it because you can't drive as fast as them and you're like jealous?
Well, because I don't have a license anymore.
Okay.
Like that's not. I can't say that's not an issue at all.
Oh yeah, that was part of the deplatforming, is you got banned from Facebook, Twitter, and everything, and also your license was revoked. Which, to be fair, given the context of what was posted, was the correct choice.
Well,
because yes, the cat did not die for another 5 hours, but I mean, you must have been going 130 miles an hour.
Yeah. This is gonna that's honestly for the courts to decide at this point.
I forgot. This is an ongoing investigation.
Yeah. And honestly, I shouldn't be talking about it on the podcast if we're being honest, because it does go.
I will say that saying I will appeal just sort of implies that you're going to be convicted. I don't know who your lawyer is. I would suggest maybe not using verbiage like that.
No, I've watched a lot of the show Daredevil.
No, you didn't.
And I've been watching She-Hulk.
Nope, you haven't.
Okay, well, so I've been reading not the Wikipedia synopsis.
No, you didn't, yeah.
Yeah, but there some guys on Reddit will briefly, in a comment on another post, mention something about the plot of the shows. I've been reading a lot of those.
And how... Even after
to represent myself in court.
Even after you were deplatformed on Reddit, I don't believe any of this.
Okay, well, you can go on there anonymously, is what I mean.
I don't think you know how to do that.
Okay.
That requires codes and stuff.
Yeah, the codes are weak. Okay, fine. I thought that I could maybe figure out how to be a lawyer, so I'm doing that. Reading a lot of, just honestly, I going up to law offices and getting their business cards and just kind of memorizing those.
Yeah.
So
oh no, I know.
I'm hoping that'll
I know
pay
all
off.
of this because this is in the rules too, and it doesn't even seem like a rule. You were like, "Hey, I've been in law offices a lot lately." Like it's you just. It seems like a lot of just anecdotes and stuff are the rules, but they're numbered. It's like rule number 6 is I've had a really hard time right now with my bath mat. It gets too wet and it doesn't dry quick enough, and so I feel like it's even wet the next day when I'm taking another bath.
This was meant to be a lot of these were meant to be posts.
Yeah.
Because like they're setups to a joke, to a stand-up comedy style joke.
Sure.
All of these are like, yeah.
But you
it's
just
a lot
kept
of,
accidentally updating the rules instead.
yeah.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense.
And people are being punished for it accordingly, of course. Because the mods have been great, by the way. The mods have been fantastic at enforcing these rules.
Okay, well, one of the rules is just Annabelle gifs. So were you trying to search for gifs of the possessed doll from the Conjuring movies, Annabelle? Is that?
That's what I was trying to find out. That's who it is? That's who she is?
Oh, and the way you were going to find out was through gifs? That is the easiest way to get information. Because, I could look at a picture that's one frame, or I could look at a picture that is multiple frames.
We're in the modern age, baby. Yeah. So...
Did you know this guy shrunk down the entire movie of Star Wars into an AIM profile image?
Wow.
For AIM Messenger? AOL Instant Messenger?
I've heard of this.
He shrunk it down. It's like an ASCII version, actually, but it's like the whole thing. It's so funny. And it's like, so just go ahead. Anyway, go ahead.
No. It's, well, like, I do like, yeah, on movie nights, I see that.
Oh, that's how you watch Star Wars, yeah.
Anyway, so that's our producer Cameron. Also with us is Digital in the House.
Ever since you got deplatformed, right? You've had a huge amount of people on your side. People who are like, "Hey, Dr. London shouldn't have gotten banned for what he posted on Twitter." And we don't have to say what it is. I mean, we know. I think we all know. If you're listening to the show, you know what it is.
I didn't mean it in a bad way. Can I say that? I didn't mean it in a bad way. Can I say that? Can I say that? Can I say that?
Man, they all want to deplatform. Man, they all want to deplatform.
Digital in the House.
I do want to say that the cat did not die until hours. Like, I would say 5-6 hours.
And later, Cameron tells him we can expect a special guest.
That's right, Dr. London.
Yeah, so look forward to that. But before we move on, I would like to address a bit of listener feedback. For a long time, our listener demographic primarily consisted of moon chasers. So it's people who spent every night trying to chase the moon because of, the fabled moon pennies. But in our efforts to cater to those listeners, we found that we were neglecting the many bot accounts that download our podcast. So we're really now trying to focus way more on these bots, all these sort of spam bot listeners, these viruses. So Cameron, could you ask the hairdryer for the listener feedback?
Yeah, just hold on one second. I've got to plug. I mean, I'm more of a coder, so the hairdryer, I kind of need to plug into the computer. You have the adapter, right?
Well, not on me, no. I thought...
Okay.
No,
let me code. Yeah, let me code one up.
Yeah. I've got the 3D printer going, but I slowed it down because it was going too fast.
Oh, okay. I think I've got it. Okay. Hair dryer. Tell us your whims. Here it goes.
Dear Jock Podcast, why do humans insist on keeping their internal organs inside their bodies? It seems like it would be much more convenient to have them outside where they can be easily accessed. I've heard that some humans even have their organs removed and put into other humans. Why would anyone want to do that? Love the hairdryer.
Okay. No, thank you.
And I do want to clarify that even though this is signed the hairdryer, it's not saying it's the hairdryer is implying that the piece of plastic is talking to us.
Mm-hmm.
It's really malware that has gone into the hairdryer, possessed it.
Yeah. You hear,
and is now run amok, sort of performing evil throughout the world via sort of hosting other.
You know about
other malware.
Microplastics are in everything, kind of famously. They're everywhere.
Yeah.
Viruses are very similar in that. Our listeners specifically are very much like that. So
yeah.
In any case, so we get this question a lot.
Oh yeah, especially lately.
Yeah. So I guess a basic answer, do we ever take our organs out? The answer is, of course, yes. In fact, I think last week.
I mean, that wasn't really the question.
Okay.
The question is, why do humans insist on keeping their internal organs inside their bodies?
Well,
it seems like it would be much easier and more convenient to have them outside where they can be easily accessed. I don't have an answer for this. I feel like if I had a little backpack that had all my organs in it, that would obviously be easier for doctors to tinker with.
Yeah, so that does sound easy. Honestly, this is how innovation happens. I guess these kind of questions. So instead of
stealing ideas from AI.
Well, I was gonna say asking questions, and then I can give you an answer. Like our first immune defense that we have is actually the integumentary system, which is our skin. Or I could say, hey, maybe you're onto something, hairdryer virus.
You're saying you couldn't make a backpack that has as much filter as human skin? You can't even just use human skin to do that? Well, a backpack of human skin?
That one I'm definitely not allowed to talk about with outside of the courts.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Like,
I'm sorry. I did not. That was not a reference to what you had posted. I just wanted. That was an accident. That was just coincidental.
And like cat skin, human skin. It's
No, you don't have to keep talking about it.
Okay.
You probably shouldn't.
Okay. So thank you for that listener feedback. Now for today's medical topic: Pheochromocytoma. Pheochromocytoma is a non-malignant or non-cancerous lesion of the adrenal medulla autonomously overproducing catecholamines despite a high blood pressure. So to put that more simply, pheochromocytoma is basically a tumor that will give you shots of adrenaline at random for no particular reason.
And this has come up probably 30 times in all of these episodes. But you insist on these things that are pretty much superpowers are a disease that needs to be taken care of.
Well,
you're telling me that it's like a thing on your body that gives you just sudden shots of adrenaline. That's a Marvel movie, Dr. London.
Yeah, no, I can see how that could seem like a Marvel movie thing, but it's so. I could list some symptoms for you, and maybe you may not think of it. So. Some symptoms.
Think of the guy from Crank.
The famous hero.
The hero Crank guy. If he just had adrenaline pumping into his body from a tumor, I mean, he wouldn't even have an issue. It'd be all resolved. He'd be very comfortable.
Was that not? Oh, because he had to keep his heart rate up. That was the
Our hero Crank guy.
Yeah. Symptoms of pheochromocytoma may include high blood pressure that is episodic in nature, thinking of headaches, sweating, palpitations, tremor, and tachycardia, which is accelerated heart rate, which, yes, in the Crank movie, this would have been very helpful.
Yeah, it would have been so much easier. You're trying to remove superpowers from people, Dr. London. This is just like the X-Men. You know how doctors wanted to take the mutations out of the X-Men?
Yeah, I was on the team.
That's you.
Yeah. Well, that's another thing. So, anyway, orthostatic hypotension can occur between the episodes of high blood pressure. And so in other words, in between those adrenaline shots, your blood pressure may drop whenever you stand up. That's That's an effect. So there's a sort of a withdrawal sort of effect. So the best initial test for pheochromocytoma is the level of free metanephrines in plasma. A 24-hour urine collection for metanephrines will confirm the diagnosis. Direct measurements of epinephrine and norepinephrine may also be done. After biochemical confirmation of pheochromocytoma, a CT or MRI of the adrenal glands may be done. And if CT or MRI is negative, an MIBG scan, which is a nuclear isotope scan, that can detect the location of a pheochromocytoma that might be in a different spot away from the adrenal gland. The best initial therapy for pheochromocytoma is phenoxybenzamine, which is an alpha blocker, and then, of course, surgical removal of the lesion. You do that laparoscopically, mostly.
And if you're in a crank situation and you don't have access to a tumor, I do just want to say you don't have to do like all sorts of insane, crazy things to keep your heart rate up, Dr. London, right? I mean, I'm not a doctor, but do you have to do just like a series of different, insane, escalating things to keep your heart rate up, or can you kind of just do the same thing for a while?
Yeah, for all my patients who have been in a crank situation, what do I usually?
Seems like going to a doctor and, just having them keep your heart rate up through various like instructions would probably help and then they can help with the situation. I don't remember the plot of the movie, so I don't remember if there's a reason why that's explained they can't do that.
What I know about them from whenever I've had them as patients is they don't make the waiting room is kind of a long time of sitting there.
Oh yeah.
So I haven't seen any of the patients with
with crank syndrome.
Yeah. But hey, I'm open to it still. If any of you manage to make it all the way,
but yeah, we just do jumping jacks it doesn't have to be insane weird stuff. It can just be like just normal
or
things.
Possibly just have shots of adrenaline. I never saw the movie.
Yeah, I guess that would maybe even be the easiest thing is just finding a pretty simple medical way to do it.
A beta agonist would be directly stimulating the heart to pump, which seems like
heat in general. Honestly, just anything out of the ordinary is probably going to raise your heart rate.
I always get spooked.
Heartbeats up.
Okay. Well, anyway, we can move on from there. I think we've covered the crank syndrome and also pheochromocytoma enough for the moment. All right, Cameron, you said that we have a guest today. Is that right?
That's right, Dr. London. We have a very, very special guest today.
Hello there. My name is drlondonsmith.com, and this is our producer, Cameron. What was your name?
Hey, guys. It's good to be here, first of all. I'm Marcus He, Him.
Marcus He, Him?
So,
your last name's He, Him?
No, so I don't have a last name. It's like Cher, just Marcus. My pronouns are he, him.
Oh, okay. I get it.
Yeah, that's not my birth name. I took my partner's name. But it's a common thing when I tell people, they assume it's my last name. Because I guess people are still living in the 1950s where people have last names.
Yeah. So your partner's name first was he, him, and then you've taken that as your pronouns?
As your pronouns. Or
just as your name?
You took someone's last name as your pronouns?
So I've always had the pronouns he, him.
Okay.
I also had theirs, but I just changed it for brevity, and I don't want to say my last name, my birth last name. I don't want to dead name that. But yeah, just Marcus he, him is what I go by. And it's just it's been confusing when I do actually go to the doctor and they put that on the chart. I think it should be required on every chart, name, age, pronouns, but they assume you have a last name, and it's become quite a thing.
See, for me, I'm like, I think there should probably be less questions when going to the doctor. Like when I go to Dr. London's office, he's asking me like what my opinion on Kid A by Radiohead is. That's on the forms, and I don't. Mm-hmm. I've been to you before, so you already know this opinion too. That's part of it.
This is, I'm glad you. I'm glad you brought up Radiohead. Honestly, the reason I'm here, guys, and I didn't want to say this soon, but I've listened to your podcast. Let me just cards on the table.
Oh, wow.
Oh, Marcus, of course, you're the human listener.
Yes,
you're the one human listener we have.
I am a brand consultant. I'm a publicist. I need you guys to appeal more to Gen Z.
Okay.
Look, I've several clients. I've changed a lot of lives, a lot of publications, magazines, even podcasts like yours. You need to appeal to a different demographic. It's not just what you say; it's how you present yourself. It's how you look. You're just those male white faces. You need something. Gen Z doesn't like doctors. I'm sorry, but that's just the thing.
That's true. I mean, it's just another authority figure that tells you what to do, and I agree with them. This is we've actually talked about this on the show. I really identify with Gen Z. I am 15 years old. I don't even know what 9/11 is. Not even that I wasn't alive for it, but never heard of it. Don't know what it is.
And if you put that in a TikTok, you'd be right where I want you. But for now, I mean, even the Radiohead talk, you're not relating to these kids. You talked about Crank. Did Crank pass? Let me ask you a question. Did Crank pass the Bechdel test, Cameron?
See, I don't know because I wasn't alive when it came out.
Dr. London, did Crank pass the Bechdel test?
This I should know. So,
I mean, I do think Amy Smart's character has a conversation with another woman about like shoes or something, and I really think that should pass the Bechdel test.
Nope, it actually doesn't.
But it's not a subject about a male character.
They were talking about shoes while she was getting, and pardon me for saying this, sexually assaulted. There's really no other word for it, by the main male patriarchal character while he was skydiving to increase his heart rate. So I just, and look, it's not your fault.
True.
It's not.
They were skydiving and then she turned to a woman and started talking about shoes. I thought it was weird. I'm not a writer. I'm not a Hollywood writer. I'm not a producer. Not going to give notes.
Right. And the fact that you assume you assume you should be a writer, right? Because you're a white man. And that's kind of the problem. That's what I'm here to address a little bit.
I think I would ever debase myself to something like that. If anything, London is writing all my memoirs and stuff. He's my ghostwriter.
Yeah.
I can't imagine someone at my stature doesn't write.
Oh, interesting.
We pay little guys like London to write.
He got me to do it he said ghost writer. The
Nick Cage movie that also doesn't pass the Bechdel test.
No, sorry, not that. No, the old PBS show about children who write to ghosts and ghosts inspire them in the library or something.
Interesting. I don't know. I've only ever watched Greta Gerwig. I have read various Letterboxd reviews on such movies as Crank. That's how I know the filth that the public consumes. And it's always a 1-star. It's always a 1-star.
Yeah. Do you got a recent rating something you've written up?
Me personally? Oh, I'm sorry. I thought writing was beneath you, Cameron, but I guess I'll indulge you a little bit. I do.
Yeah, again, it is for me. It's definitely not beneath
you. And again,
you.
This isn't something you know, but if you want to relate to Gen Z, maybe don't be ableist against people who don't know how to read.
That's true. You've been doing that a lot, Cameron.
Well, but one of the main components of this podcast is that I don't know how to read. I would say that is maybe the most frequently referenced thing on the show.
But you assume that other people do know, and that's
you assume that you're unique, right? Exactly.
Yeah. You're not unique. That's an important thing to emphasize, is that no one is unique. No one is special. Everyone is just a drone.
Fingerprints aren't even real.
I'm sorry?
Just fingerprints. They're not real. They're not real. Show me them. I
don't know if this is on video.
Can't see it. It is on video. If you're a Patreon listener, I can't see them. I see your fingertips.
That's so much more data for us.
You know what? And your opinion is valid, because not seeing things you're just as valid as a person who sees. I have synesthesia and I can't hear color. All my friends are, I don't know what my friends are, I don't hear color. And a lot of people are like, oh, you have black friends, you have Asian friends. I don't hear color. They're just people to me. So,
and this is really funny because DJ Dylan actually does have synesthesia as well, but his thing is that tasting gravy looks to him like Stewie Griffin.
Yes.
And so anytime he's tasting gravy, he's like, oh, that's Stewie Griffin. I'm seeing Stewie Griffin right now.
Yes.
And this is just one of the, a million ways why DJ Dylan is such a special part of our world.
Stewie Griffin, is that a pun because it's Stu, or is that from a movie or a show? I'm not.
That's from Crank, right? That's another Crank character.
Yeah, it's
from the Crank universe, the Marvel universe.
Yeah,
The
I think it's the
CCU?
pilot of the plane that they're skydiving out of.
Is it from
In the-
it's from the CCU? The crank.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
Interesting. Yeah,
Expanded.
I'm not aware.
Well, it's tough
Um,
to keep up with once they added all the streaming shows.
Oh my gosh, all these. Have we talked about streaming shows yet, Dr.
Oh,
London?
it's a whole thing.
I love them.
Yeah.
They're all so fun, and there's so many of them, and they're good, and it's perfect.
And I pay for so many subscriptions, and it's worth it every time.
I love it.
Yeah. But yeah.
Oh, Stewie Griffin was in Little Women. So in Little Women, you said you see all the Greta
I have seen
Gerwig
Little
stuff,
Women.
right?
I have seen Little Women. I don't remember a character name.
So in Little Women, do you remember the animated bald baby that was running around and had a British accent?
I have selective amnesia.
Oh no, that's awesome.
Yeah, that's really good.
Thank you.
That's really cool.
I think it is. I think I'm just as valid as someone who can remember Stewie in that movie, but unfortunately I don't. In fact, there was a lot of gaps in my Letterboxd review for that, and the reason I love Little Women is because you get in the title. I knew I wanted to see it. There's no surprises. In fact, I think they should do all female reboots of. They stopped at Ghostbusters. How about an all female reboot of Rambo: First Blood? How about an all female reboot of 12 Angry Men, 12 Angry Women, just on synchronized periods, having a tough day. Let's see what their life.
It's not even like a court case or
not even a court
like
case.
that.
Women don't need to be judging people to be valid, Cameron.
Absolutely.
That's a
Women
good
go
point.
through tough times just, if not more, than we do.
I've heard of that. I think they talk about it on 12 Angry Men, which is why I know about it.
I haven't seen 12 Angry Men again because of the title alone is just that literally should have a trigger warning before the title.
What can we do with this podcast? We
Angry
need to hear
Men?
for this podcast specifically, because we are not getting any Gen Z listeners at all. Even our robots, all of them are like 34 plus.
Mhm. They've been here a while.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I'm really glad you asked. There's a lot. Let me just tell you what I've done for some of my other clients.
Yes.
Right. Recently in the news, Lizzo got into some trouble. I happen to represent her. I'm an independent contractor for a brand consultant. She got, and I don't want to say the word. Maybe I'll spell it out. SPAZ.
Sure.
Okay.
She said a word that is kind of offensive here, but is especially offensive overseas. Yeah.
And again, even you saying kind of offensive is probably it is offensive.
I wasn't offended until now, and now I'm really offended. Yes.
Just so you know, this podcast it's recorded at a frequency that Gen Z cannot hear. It's at there's certain sounds and certain notes that only certain age ranges
Interesting.
can hear.
That's affected our reach a little
in that
bit.
sense, we can kind of say whatever we want because Gen Z can't, and it has affected our reach. But we really want to win.
You can say whatever you want. See, this is the problem right here because you're a white man. All right. Let me. I don't want to get upset here. I'm here to help you. And
I'm sorry, one little note that, and I just can't get over what you said earlier. So you're an independent contractor. So you're indie. I'm really into indie stuff. That's all.
Same.
Oh, great. Yeah, that's big right now.
That was why I mentioned Radiohead earlier, is because even though I'm 15, I just love indie stuff so much. So I'm so in that.
Again, these references.
Just in that headspace. I mean, look, did Neutral Milk Hotels in the Airplane Over the Sea come out, 25 years before I was born? No, it only came out 7 or so years before I was born. But I don't know. I'm too young to know when it came out.
And Cameron, I hate to stop you, but in 10 years, it will be cool again. Now it is considered dad rock, and it's just not the target audience. For example, let's look at what we did with Lizzo, right? Perfect example. Lizzo is in. Lizzo is hot. She's what the kids want. She's shaking it. She doesn't care what you think about her body. She's beautiful and she knows it, right? And she wants us to know it. And we do know it. But she said a word, she slipped up. How do we rebrand, right? My brilliant idea, thinking outside of the box, okay? Forget this music. Let's just forget. Sorry, go ahead. I don't want to cut you off.
Oh, I'm just saying rebranding is really important after something like that, because you might think, well, didn't Lizzo's About Damn Time song become 1,000 times more famous and hit number 1 after that controversy, and so it didn't actually do anything to her career? And to what I say is, No.
And I hear you. You know, I hear all voices, all even unmelanated voices. I hear you. You know,
Which you can't see anyway.
what happened with Lizzo was we tried to think outside the box a little bit. You know, that song caused a bit of an uproar, as we talked about, and now, you know what? She's doing great and I got her this job. I'm pretty proud of it. She's an offensive lineman for the New England Patriots now.
That is so good for. She'd be so good in that role.
You try to bust through the B gap with Lizzo blocking on the main front, and you're not getting through. You're just not getting through.
She's on my fantasy team. I definitely drafted her.
She's on my fantasy list for, you know, people that I would want. And my partner Marcus does give me we call it a hall pass list, and it's Lizzo. It's well, you know, I kind of don't want to, you know, it's almost like saying your wish out loud, your birthday wish. You kind of don't want to jinx it by
keep it secret. Yeah,
you want to keep it to yourself.
But yours is a list, like a pretty extensive list.
It's a list again, and you know, I do have dyslexia. My partner writes it for me, and it's, I would say, about 12 names long at this point, but it's growing, you know. And it's tough because so many of these people get canceled that I thought were great people that I would want to sleep with, and you know, and then the next day you wake up and someone says the SPA, you know what word, and they, you know, now.
Well, and it's really unfortunate. We've talked about this on the show before, but the pressure and stress that comes with getting canceled. I mean, the Netflix specials, the increased exposure, the free marketing. I mean, just, of course she's not going to have time to sleep with you. She just got insanely more successful based off of the incident. I mean, you just don't have the time for it. Dr. London, we've been trying to get him canceled so hard lately, and it just is not happening because the stuff he says is not offensive enough. He thinks it is, and he thinks the aggressiveness with which he says, like, for example, that like Sierra Mist is actually just all water.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think one of the problems is I immediately take it to the courts, with a recent tweet.
Oh, you play ball?
On my yes, this is multiple routes. Yes, I play ball, and yes, it does come up a lot when it comes to me getting canceled potentially. But it's more of a, you know, a local thing, and I try to keep it kind of quiet because that's how I relax. So if we could actually
Unfortunately, it's kind of giving you extra armor from getting canceled because so many clips of you, I mean, just hitting daggers, shooting threes, have gone viral on TikTok.
I was going to say, why don't you talk about basketball more on the podcast? That's big. Basketball is huge with kids.
Unfortunately,
right
we have sort of I mean, how do we put this? Not a restraining order, but I guess just
ordered us to be restrained.
What do you call it when most of the NBA players have like spies on us? Does that make sense? We have a lot of private investigators constantly.
It's a lot of espionage. Yeah.
I have a similar thing. I have a restraining order for from my previous grandmother. I disowned her. Retirement home. You know, 1 minute look at it from the nursing home workers' perspective, you know. You see me woke scolding my dementia-riddled grandmother for not issuing a statement in support of defunding the police.
Oh,
wow. Right? Are they applauding me? Do they applaud me?
Probably.
As they should? No, that's what you think.
They didn't?
No. Banned from the establishment. And this is the problem. People have their heads still stuck in the past. Their head is still in this mentality of, you know, was there one black square anywhere on her social media presence? And you could hear her say, I don't know what that is. I don't know what Instagram is. That's the problem. I'm just verbatim telling you the conversation I had with my grandmother, because this is when I got banned from that nursing home, was at that time. And she didn't post a statement in support of ACAB. And really my whole point is, you know, you're talking about Crank, you're talking about the Radiohead, and you just really, I want you guys to break into that market. You know, you don't have to completely rebrand. Look what I did for Doritos, another one of my clients, right? Recently, Doritos, and this is before they even got into hot water. I preemptively urged them to change the name of their product. So now it's known as the Doritos Neurodivergent Taco. And before it was the Doritos L word
right.
taco, right, at Taco
Loser?
Bell.
Was it
And
Loser?
I said,
Sorry,
guys,
No, it's Luther. It's
No.
the Idris Elba BBC.
Luther. Okay, yes. Okay.
Luther. Yeah.
That taco.
no. And I get what you guys are doing. You're trying to get me to say it. I get this is like a fun little game. You would think it'd be funny if I said the word, but I'm not gonna.
You're saying I'm not actually a fan of the Luther BBC sponsored
Don't
Taco
call
Bell
this
taco.
bluff
'Cause
on this.
It actually is really good. It has the creamy jalapeno sauce that they use on the quesadillas.
Mm-hmm. From the
in
show.
Luther in the show Luther.
It's just yeah. So in the second season of Luther,
I didn't see that in any of the Letterboxd reviews. Sorry, keep going. I want to hear about this.
there's they kind of stop down midpoint most episodes to teach you how to make Taco Bell sauces at home. So they cover the creamy jalapeno sauce, the chipotle sauce, the nacho cheese sauce, etc. And so they were, obviously it's a relic of a different time. This was a time when just doing how-to recipes on YouTube were really popular. So obviously it's a little dated, of course. Yes, it's an old show.
Again,
but,
see, kids aren't going to know what Luther is. This is kind of bringing me back to my point.
What about Jack Harlow?
Your references.
Talk about Jack Harlow. What about Young Gravy?
Oh
my God! Did
love
you see
Jack
that Young
Harlow.
Gravy took Addison Rae's mom to the VMAs?
Incredible. Are you following the Harry Styles Chris Pine controversy right now?
Oh
See, if you guys had
gosh.
an episode dedicated to Harry Styles v Chris Pine in the midst of Olivia Wilde, who is a god, all right, and it's time for us to say it a goddess. You know what? I'm not saying goddess because I don't want to gender her. If you did a whole episode about that beef, ratings through the roof. And again, I'm not telling you what to do. I'm just sending you in a general direction to spike your ratings in that key demographic that I think you're so needing and you're missing right now.
I mean, Dr. London, do you think there's any sort of a medical angle on any of this?
Oh, don't even get me started on the medical side of this. I mean, first of all,
by the way, you might, as you listen to this, you might be thinking, oh, the Harry Styles thing, that happened 11 weeks ago. But no, this is the new thing that happened yesterday.
Yeah.
This is that when you were listening to this, you haven't heard about it yet. Because a new thing happened, and that's what we're actually referencing. And that's also true for any other reference that is maybe a little too dated that I made. Sorry.
And by the way, no, this goes both ways. I don't want you guys to think that you're the one who has to, bend and change your life. This helps. For instance, Dr. London, if you have a patient who's saying, maybe dying of a disease, maybe they have cancer, maybe they have something terminal.
Maybe the patient's Young Gravy. Oh no, and the patient's Young Gravy.
They ask you how long do I have to live, doctor? How long do I have to live? You look at them.
It's Young Gravy. He probably raps it to him. Could you do that real quick?
No, rap it. He said there's a very distinct.
Can I rhyme it? Sure, yeah.
Just like Young Gravy would.
Rhyme it. Is rapping different than rhyming? Are you mansplaining rapping to me? Interesting.
There's no way to get out of that trap, is there?
How long do I have to live? What do I give? What do I give? How long do I have to live?
Oh, wow.
I'm in prison, but I don't have a shiv because the prison is my mind. And it's about time, but I'm looking behind to see what the rhyme is.
Well, it's Young Gravy, so you should probably say something about MILFs.
Right. How long do I have to live? Cruella de Vil was a MILF. And, I got a lot of kids. But listen.
And theirs would be the Emma Stone version, right?
Yeah, for the young kids. Who's a total MILF at 32-year-old Emma Stone.
Emma Stone is a MILF. No, Emma Stone is a MILF. And this is from the direction of my audience. She's a GILF, actually.
Oh, wow.
That's the age range we're talking about. For instance, if Young Gravy is rapping to you about how long does he have to live?
I mean,
right?
It's only...
You look at him, hey, not my job to educate you. Not my job to educate you.
We should probably, and I hate to switch it over because we are finally hitting the momentum, but I think it's time for chores.
Oh no, Dr. London. Gen Z hates chores though.
Okay, Okay.
No. Haven't you seen anti-work Reddit?
I've heard of read about it. Yes.
Gen Z is not a fan of chores. Yeah.
And that's Gen Zers.
Yeah. And so I guess I have to is this quiet quitting?
I think this might be a form of quiet quitting. Yeah.
So Dr. London and I have unfortunately been neglecting all of our chores for a really long time now. And we're sick of it. We got to do some of the things. So Dr. London and I invented this chore wheel. It's really huge and we spin it every single week. Whatever chore it lands on, that is the task that we have to do in Dr. London. Even if that means cutting off your big pinky toe. Not your little pinky toe.
And that is it's on my to-do list. Obviously, it is a chore, but it's one of these. Yeah.
You shouldn't have both.
It's one of my favorite.
You shouldn't have both.
Big
I'm sorry.
toes. That's all. But yeah.
I just don't like the two pinky toes. You basically have like a dew claw, like dogs have. You know, the little hanging nail that they.
I hear about it every time I'm at the vet. I know, but if it lands on it, if it lands on that.
But I'm giving you a hard time. I'm sorry, Dr. Lennon. I'm giving you a hard time. Let's go ahead and spin this. Marcus, he, him, could you jump up and spin this big old chore wheel for us?
Mm-hmm. Well, I am a short king, so I might have to. Do you have a stepladder?
I have a few textbooks. If you want to just hop on those. Yeah, let's push those over.
Sure, yeah. Okay, let me grab this real quick. Oh, that's pretty high. All right, we're spinning it.
Oh boy, I hate that we have to do this.
One. Okay.
And honestly, this is perfect because we did talk about it earlier, but we have to design the next adjacent Jock social media app.
Yeah.
So this is the whole thing is every app has its own like side apps and stuff now. You know, like Instagram even had or used to have sort of a separation of reels and all these different things. We already have this Jock Talk podcast, but we're trying to branch out, or Jock Talk podcast app. We're trying to branch out and create a new app that's even better, but it's different. So we got to figure that out. And I've got no ideas yet.
Yeah. And just I know that people might be confused at the name Jock Doc Podcast app as a social media app. So we want to make the name a little longer, I think, to start out, just to simplify it.
Yes. Well, and it's separate from the Jock Doc Podcast social media app.
So maybe just...
maybe... Okay, go ahead.
I was just thinking just Jock Talk Podcast Pro Plus Excel app.
I think maybe Excel app trial expired.
Okay, yeah. That
I think
like.
that
yes.
Yeah, because that's going to motivate them to check it and be like, "Oh, did it expire?"
Yeah. Marcus, are you feeling this?
I'm feeling this. I think longer names are good. Hyphenated names are big right now, especially in the polycules that I frequent. We do hyphenate names. We take each other's first names, last names. So I think that's really big with the kids now. The longer, the better.
And all hyphenated. Just do it between every word. I mean, right? It's all
everything's
sort of
hyphenated.
Word.
You do have to be careful to make. A lot of kids have the attention span of a very, very small child. So you don't want to make it too long that they get distracted while they're reading it. But I think what you have is, I think that's pretty solid.
Anything mentioning Excel is going to grab attention. It's going to pull in the young people.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Well, so what does this app do? What do Gen Zers need an app for? That maybe it's a market we can either invent or a market.
Well,
we can
I've been saying
this.
I've been saying this for a while, but I think a cool app idea would, and I haven't seen this. I think like maybe an app that can like call someone's phone.
Ooh, that is really interesting. I feel like that.
Do people want that?
Yeah, I feel like that opens up a lot of gray area about like maybe people using it for scams and stuff. I'm not sure if that's smart. I don't know.
But I mean, it's new.
I mean,
I don't.
It's new. It's hot.
I'm trying to imagine a call without the video.
Yeah. Okay. So what if instead of a call, you type in a certain number into your texting device, then you get to leave a voice message for that person, then they can listen later. It's almost like male, but for your voice.
These are.
I don't know. I feel like that's a little bit of emotional labor.
Oh wow, and that's true. I kind of have a huge tab on Dr. London. I owe Dr. London a lot of money for the emotional labor I've used him for, and he keeps charging me, and it keeps sending it to collections, and it's ruined my credit, and I can't get a grip on this thing at all.
Yeah, not just the labor, not just the parts.
Yeah, and the parts as well.
It's tough. Listen, I mean, and he has every right to, and good for you. Good for charging, because a lot of people don't take that upon themselves. And, you need to let friends, if we can call them that, like Cameron, know that this isn't free.
I just think like saying, hey man, I'm really sorry. I heard about what happened. I'm really sorry that she passed away. I just didn't consider that emotional labor. Like I thought I was trying to console him, and then that cost $235.
Yeah.
That at least the rate should be reduced. That's insane.
Well, no, that's not for what the labor and the parts.
I keep forgetting about the parts.
If you add it up.
Yeah. Can you just go into the detail about the parts? Because this has always been fascinating to me when we talk about emotional labor. The parts involved, because that's the thing that people don't discuss
it's like
enough.
You're spending money on actual physical items, not just the labor itself.
I guess. Yeah, I should mention there's a physical shipment of parts, and the thing is, I have to figure out what these parts. It's just like junkyard stuff, I think.
Yeah,
that
it's like gizmos and gadgets. A lot of things that like spin
car
or
doors
have a hook on it.
Yeah. And like the inside of a car door. A lot of those.
So what about an app? I mean, again, just spitballing here, that calculates all the emotional labor, right? And gives you a dollar amount for it.
Labor calculator.
There you go.
Well, this would allow me to finally double check your calculations, Dr. London.
Well, no, my accountant.
And see if there's an app that told me, hey, this actually, adds up.
Well, just no, because my accountant goes through it. Like it's.
Yeah, your accountant who, I mean, he looks exactly like you, but with a mustache. It's really uncanny.
Yeah.
He always goes over how much I owe and explains it in detail. I could just double check, because if he's telling the truth, then there's no issue with double checking.
The problem is right now, Cameron, it seems like you're doing a little complaining, and I think this is a little bit of a charge, Dr. London. I don't know, like what he's doing right now seems to me. Again, I'm a third party here, but this seems like he's kind of venting to you a little bit, and
you're right.
I don't see a sign. I don't see a sign on your forehead that says, "Hey, come to me with your complaints."
I'm looking forward to this
that
app
is
now.
On his lower back, right?
Yeah.
Is it a sign or a tattoo?
The tattoo of the sign, and then the sign. I think that's on your front, right?
Yeah, it loops around.
Oh, okay. So it kind of
good for you.
Both.
Hey, taking body positivity. You're taking back your body by making it something you love.
Yeah,
and I love that for you.
I wouldn't say he loves it. You feel an obligation to do it, right?
I like Cameron. You keep saying stuff, but I feel like the calculator. I'm excited for this app to be out because I'm going to get so many push notifications the whole time you talk. That's what it's going to be.
Okay, so maybe that's it. So we found our niche. This is going to be the first social media app that tells you if a number is related to or could be combined with another number.
Yeah, and hopefully, yeah. So I guess we'll launch it tomorrow.
So I think we have to decide some rules, like
which would be 11 months for, just to clarify it for the yeah,
it'll be 11 months. I think the way it works, it's like 100 years after the author's death, and then it goes into the public domain, and that's when you'll be hearing this.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay. That's
every
good for me to
podcast
know.
episode has to go to public domain for us to release it. So
yeah, I want people to remix it, do what they want with it, Dr. London.
Make a movie.
We actually had a similar issue when I was a brand consultant for Israel. And Israel was getting a lot of flack, and so what we did was we made the missile defense system LGBTQ friendly. We put rainbows painted on the on the missiles. I'm really proud of this. 20% of the drone strike operators are neurodivergent, which I'm pretty proud of, because we're about inclusivity.
I mean, is that
in
strict
that,
vetting?
and
just 20 seems like a low number to me. I don't know a ton about numbers. Dr. London, I usually have to rely on him to tell me which number is bigger.
Or an app like the one that we're about to release.
Yeah. But usually, or not Dr. London, but his accountant who looks like him with a mustache usually tells me which number is bigger. But 20 doesn't seem that much. You're saying 20%.
I guess, to some people you have more than others. I'm sure you have I'm sure numbers to you are nothing.
Well,
but to me, every little bit counts.
Elitist perspective on.
Yeah.
I think, for a lot of us, every little bit counts. And, I'm pretty proud of Israel for what they've done. You only focus on the dead children in those pictures, but you don't see if you look closely at the scrap metal of the shards, you will see a little rainbow flag on there that we painted on there. You'll see queer voices lifted in this, and I'm proud of that.
Wow. And with that, I feel like we have finished the app.
I like it. I like it a lot.
All right.
Yeah, and so, this pro-Israel calculator app, I think, is really the way to go.
Yeah, this extremely politicized calculator app is working for us. Okay, so I guess that's about it here. So, anyway, thank you so much, Marcus, for being on. Is there anything you want to promote or anyone you're a fan of that you want to give a shout out to?
Yeah, so the wokest comic that I know, I love this guy, and he is on TikTok. I believe it's Atlas_thugged on TikTok. He's on Instagram at Atlas_thugged, and he is on Twitter at Young Pundit, YUNG Pundit, and love this guy's takes. He's so progressive. He really speaks to the youth of today, and I think we need a lot more people like him. So just a big shout out.
Yeah, and it sounds like he's really good at the consistency between platforms so that everyone can easily find him. That's super useful in today's modern age.
Yeah, well, he's about not just diversity of people, but diversity of usernames, and I actually appreciate that. Yeah,
that is great. Yeah. All right, well, thank you again, Marcus. Thank you to our producer Cameron. Thank you to Digital in the House.
Bolivia is wild. Bolivia is wild. Bolivia is honestly wild. Honestly, wild. Bolivia is just really wild. Bolivia is just honestly really wild. Bolivia wild.
My name is drlondonsmith.com, and this has been the Jock Doc Podcast.
See ya.